They laughed at him when he whispered, "Can I fix it for food?" Because to them, he was nothing but a dirty, homeless black man sitting outside a gas station with grease-stained hands. What they didn't know was that he was once a world-famous racing legend who disappeared after a mysterious scandal that no one dared to talk about. And when the truth came out, lives were ruined. It started on a cold Friday night in South Carolina. The station attendants were closing early, the air thick with the smell of gasoline, when a group of teenagers pulled up in a flashy car, engine sputtering, smoke pouring out from under the hood. The driver, a cocky 20-year-old with money dripping from his gold chains, cursed loudly, slamming the hood shut after failing to figure out the problem. And that's when they heard it. From the shadows, a low voice, raspy and tired. "Can I fix it for food?" The boys turned. A homeless black man sat against the wall, dreadlocks tucked under a faded cap, eyes sunken yet strangely sharp. His clothes were dirty, his hands greasy, his shoes worn down to threads. The boys burst into laughter. "Fix it? Man, you can't even fix your life," one shouted. "You look like you can barely stand." "Old-timer," another added, throwing an empty soda can at his feet. But the homeless man didn't flinch. He just looked at the car, eyes narrowing at the smoke, scanning every detail like a surgeon studying an X-ray. "5 minutes," he muttered. "I'll make it run. All I need is something to eat." The teenagers howled even harder. To them, it was comedy, a bum pretending to be a mechanic. But one of them, a girl sitting in the back seat, tilted her head. She wasn't laughing. She noticed the way his hands trembled, not from weakness, but from muscle memory, like a man who had done this thousands of times before. Reluctantly, maybe out of curiosity or just to extend the joke, the driver tossed him a wrench. "All right, magic man, impress us." What happened next silenced everyone. The homeless man didn't hesitate. He moved with precision, his hands steady and confident. He loosened a clamp, reconnected a line, tightened bolts in a sequence so fast his fingers blurred, and tapped the carburetor twice with the wrench like he knew the car personally. The kids exchanged confused looks. Then he stepped back, wiped his hands on his shirt, and whispered, "Try it now." The driver rolled his eyes, climbed in, and twisted the key. The engine roared, smooth, powerful, like it had just rolled off the lot. The sputtering smoke vanished. The vibration steadied. It was flawless. The cocky smile on the driver's face froze. "Wait, what the hell?" The others gawked in disbelief. One of them muttered under his breath, "That's impossible." But the homeless man just stepped away, head lowered, clutching his stomach as it growled with hunger. "Food," he whispered again. The girl in the back seat reached into her bag and handed him a half-eaten sandwich. He took it with shaking hands, mumbling a soft "thank you," before retreating back toward the shadows. The boys weren't laughing anymore. Something about the way he worked, too fast, too skilled, stuck in their minds like a riddle they couldn't solve. The girl, whose name was Leah, couldn't shake it off. How did a starving, homeless man fix a high-performance engine in minutes without tools, manuals, or hesitation? And why did he tap the carburetor like it was a secret code only he knew? She asked around the station the next day, describing him. The clerk shook his head. "Oh, him? That's just Dusty. Been around for years. Talks to himself. Says he used to be somebody big. Some folks think he's crazy." Crazy. That's what people always say when they can't explain someone. But Leah wasn't convinced. She dug deeper. And that's when she found the first inconsistency. There were whispers, old newspaper clippings about a man with the same sharp eyes, the same hands, but clean-shaven, younger, dressed in a pristine racing suit. A man once called Donovan Dusty Miles, a legendary name in motorsport, a driver who dominated the racing world 15 years ago, until he vanished overnight after a mysterious crash that was never fully explained. Leah's heart pounded. It couldn't be him, could it? She played the tapes. There he was, Donovan Miles. Smooth, fearless, a prodigy. Crowds chanted his name. Commentators called him the fastest black man on wheels. And when he lifted his helmet on the screen, the resemblance was undeniable. The same sharp jawline, the the same piercing eyes. Leah gasped, her hands trembling. The homeless man outside the gas station was the same Donovan Miles who once graced magazine covers, who broke records, who was on the verge of signing the biggest contract in racing history before everything went dark. But why was he homeless now? Why had he disappeared? And why was everyone pretending like they had forgotten him? As Leah dug deeper, she uncovered something chilling. The crash that ended Donovan's career was an accident. The files were sealed, the footage missing, the testimonies erased. Someone powerful had buried the truth. Leah's heart pounded so loudly she thought it might break her ribs. They found me. Who? Who was he hiding from? And what could be so dangerous that a man who once raced at 200 miles per hour was now living in the shadows, afraid to be seen? She looked around the lot, empty, silent. Only the hum of streetlights and the distant bark of a stray dog. Dusty was gone. But Leah wasn't ready to let this go. Not after what she had discovered. That night, Leah barely slept. Instead, she scoured the internet for every trace of Donovan Dusty Miles. But the deeper she searched, the stranger it got. Wikipedia pages that should have been there were deleted. Old racing archives had gaps where his name should have appeared. Interviews with Donovan had been scrubbed clean, replaced with file not available. And the most disturbing part, every time she clicked into a forum thread about his disappearance, within minutes, the posts vanished, deleted in real time. Someone was still covering it up. A week later, Leah stayed late at the local diner, eyes red from sleepless nights of research. She walked to her car, fumbled with her keys, when she froze. A black SUV was idling across the street, windows tinted, engine running. The hairs on her neck stood up. She got her car quickly, locked the doors, and tried to shake it off. But as she pulled away, the SUV pulled away too. Her pulse quickened. She made 3 turns, random, erratic, yet every time the SUV stayed behind her, its headlights cold and steady. Finally, she slammed on the brakes in the middle of an empty road. The SUV stopped too. The driver's window rolled down. And for a brief second, Leah saw a man inside, wearing a suit, earpiece glinting, face completely expressionless. Then the SUV reversed smoothly and disappeared into the night. Leah sat frozen, hands shaking on the steering wheel. This wasn't paranoia anymore. Someone really was watching. 2 nights later, Leah followed a lead, a rumor from an old mechanic who claimed Dusty sometimes slept near the train yard. She searched the empty warehouses, calling softly, "Donovan? Dusty? Please, I just want to talk." For a long time, nothing, just the echo of her voice against rusted metal walls. Then she heard it, a cough, a shuffle, and out of the shadows he appeared. Same cap, same tired eyes. But this time, he looked different, wary, almost defeated. "You shouldn't be here," he rasped. "They're already watching me, and now they'll watch you too." Leah swallowed hard, holding out the photos of him in his racing days. "I know who you are. I know what they took from you." Dusty stared at the photos for a long time, his lips trembling. For a moment, Leah thought she saw tears glinting in his eyes. Then he snatched the photos, tore them in half, and hissed, "The man in those pictures is dead. Forget him." But Leah refused to back down. Dead men don't fix engines in 5 minutes. Dead men don't hide. Please tell me the truth. Dusty looked around the warehouse nervously, then leaned in close. "If I tell you, you'll wish you never asked." For the first time in 15 years, Donovan Dusty Miles spoke his truth. "I didn't crash by accident. The race was rigged. My brakes were cut." Leah's eyes widened. "Cut? By who?" Dusty's jaw clenched. "By people who didn't want me to win. By sponsors who bet millions against me. By men who couldn't stand the thought of a black driver becoming the face of the sport. That night, they tried to kill me. And when I survived, they made sure I disappeared. They destroyed my contracts, erased my name, blacklisted me from every track. The only way I stayed alive was by becoming a ghost." Leah's stomach twisted. It wasn't just sabotage, it was conspiracy. "But why now? Why would they still be after you?" she asked. Dusty looked at her gravely. "Because I kept something they want. Something that proves everything. Evidence. And as long as I'm breathing, it's dangerous for them. From beneath the warehouse floor, Dusty lifted a rusted metal box. Inside, old VHS tapes, photos, contracts, and, most shocking of all, blueprints of modified car parts with signatures from top officials. This, Dusty whispered, is the proof that ends careers and sends billionaires to prison. Leah's hands shook as she flipped through the files. But why give this to me, she asked. Dusty's voice broke. Because I'm running out of time, and because they already know where I am. Dusty froze. Leah's eyes widened. No, it's too soon, he muttered. From outside, heavy footsteps echoed, boots crunching against gravel. Men's voices shouted commands. Radios crackled. Dusty grabbed Leah's arm, his voice urgent, low. Listen to me. No matter what happens, you run. You hear me? You run and you don't look back. The warehouse doors groaned. A shadow moved across the windows. And then, bang, the door slammed open. Men in black suits stormed in. Dusty shoved Leah behind a stack of rusted barrels. Stay down. Don't move, he whispered. The men spread out, weapons drawn. Not cops, not security, but private enforcers. Black jackets. No insignias. One of them barked into his radio. Target located. He's here. Dusty's jaw tightened. He reached under his coat and pulled out, not a gun, but a battered wrench, the same one he had used on that car. You can't fight them, Leah hissed. Dusty's voice was calm, cold. I don't need to fight them. I just need to buy you time. Dusty walked into the open, facing the men head on. It's been 15 years. And you still can't let me breathe? He said, voice steady despite the fear in his eyes. The leader of the group, a tall man with a scar running down his cheek, smirked. Orders are orders, Miles. You should have stayed buried. Dusty chuckled bitterly. Buried? You tried that once. Didn't work. The scarred man's smile faded. This time we won't miss. The sound echoed through the warehouse like a gunshot. The men froze. Heads snapped toward the barrels. We're not alone, one growled. Dusty's eyes widened. Leah, run! Before she could react. Two men grabbed her, dragging her into the open. Well, the scarred man sneered. Looks like our ghost found himself a little fan. Leah struggled, kicking and shouting. You can't do this. People will find out. They'll know. The scarred man leaned in, voice dripping with venom. That's the thing about power, sweetheart. We decide what people know. Dusty moved like lightning. The wrench cracked against one man's wrist, sending his gun skidding across the floor. He grabbed Leah's arm, pulling her free, and together they bolted toward the back exit. Gunshots exploded behind them, sparks flying as bullets ripped into steel beams. Leah screamed. Dusty dragged her, weaving between crates, moving with the instinct of a man who had dodged death his entire life. They burst through the back door into the night. Rain pouring, tires screeching in the distance. Dusty shoved Leah toward an abandoned motorcycle half hidden under a tarp. Can you ride? He shouted over the storm. Leah's eyes widened. What? No. Dusty ripped off the tarp, revealing a rusted but intact racing bike. His bike. Then hold on tight. He kicked it to life. The engine roared like a beast awakened. The men stormed out of the warehouse, guns raised, and Dusty peeled out onto the wet streets, Leah clinging to his back, bullets chasing him into the storm. The chase was relentless. The SUVs closed and fast, headlights blinding, engines growling like predators. Dusty swerved sharply, the bike gliding across slick pavement with impossible control. Leah's screams were drowned by the roar of the storm and the crack of gunfire. They're not stopping, she cried. Dusty gritted his teeth. They never do. He pulled a maneuver so sharp the bike skidded sideways, narrowly avoiding a crash. Behind them, one SUV lost control and slammed into a streetlight, bursting into flames. But two more stayed on their tail. Dusty glanced at the rearview mirror, his eyes dark with determination. If they want me, they'll have to earn it. Dusty finally lost the last SUV after cutting through alleys and overgrown backroads only he seemed to remember. He pulled into an old garage, doors creaking as he shoved the bike inside. Leah staggered off, shaking, drenched in rain. "You're insane," she gasped. "They tried to kill us." Dusty wiped the rain from his face, his expression grim. "Now you see why I stay hidden. They won't stop until I'm gone. Until all of it is gone." Leah scanned the garage, realizing it wasn't just abandoned. It was filled with relics, old trophies, racing suits, blueprints. This was his hideout. "You've been living here?" she whispered. Dusty nodded slowly. "Every night I dream of the track. Every night I hear the engine. But I can't go back. Not until they're exposed." As Leah helped Dusty organize the box of evidence, her eyes fell on one contract, signed by a sponsor she recognized. Her hands went cold. It was a company owned by her uncle. Leah staggered back. This can't be right." Dusty looked at her, his face darkening. "You know him?" Leah's voice trembled. "My uncle. He's on these documents. He was part of this." Dusty clenched his fists. "Then you understand. This goes deeper than just racing. These are powerful men who profit off every lie. And your uncle, he's one of them." Leah shook her head, tears welling in her eyes. "No, he raised me. He couldn't." But in her heart, the truth was undeniable. "Leah," a cold voice said, "we know where you are. Bring us Donovan, or you won't live to regret it." Her phone slipped from her trembling hands. Dusty picked it up, staring at the screen. The number was one he hadn't seen in 15 years. He whispered, almost to himself, "It's him. He's still alive." Leah's voice shook. Who is that?" Dusty's face hardened, his jaw set like stone. "Carter Blake." Leah blinked. "Who?" Dusty's grip on the phone trembled. "My old crew chief. My best friend. The man I trusted with my life, until the night of the crash." Leah's eyes widened. "You think he—" Dusty cut her off, his voice sharp. "I don't think. I know. He was the one who touched the brakes last. He swore he tightened them, but I could see it in his face after the crash. He was part of it. And now, he's still pulling the strings." Leah's hand shook as she flipped through the papers again. Her uncle's signature burned into her brain. "My uncle, he sponsored entire teams. He always said racing was in our blood. But if he was involved in this—" Her voice cracked. Dusty placed a hand on her shoulder, steady but firm. "Listen, you need to understand. Men like him, your uncle, they don't care about family. They care about money, power, and control. And if Carter's still alive, then your uncle is too. They're partners." Leah pulled away, shaking her head violently. "No, you don't know him like I do. He raised me when my parents died. He loved me." Dusty's eyes softened for the first time. "Love doesn't sign contracts that destroy lives, Leah." Leah hesitated, staring at the screen. Dusty nodded grimly. "Answer it. Put on speaker." She pressed a button. "Leah," the voice drawled, smooth but chilling, "you've gotten yourself into something you don't understand. Bring Donovan to us. Tonight. And this all goes away." Leah's voice cracked. "Uncle, is it true? Were you part of this?" There was silence on the other end. Then a slow, cold laugh. "My sweet girl, you were never supposed to find out like this. But yes, Donovan was a threat. He still is. And if you don't deliver him, you'll be a memory just like your parents." Leah gasped. "What? My parents?" The line went dead. Leah's knees buckled, the phone clattering to the floor. He killed them." Dusty caught her before she collapsed. His voice was steady, but his eyes burned with fury. "Then we bring him down. Together." Dusty pulled out a faded leather bag and slammed it on the workbench. Inside were stacks of old racing logs, tapes, and a key card with racing logo. "They think I've been hiding all these years. They're wrong. I've been preparing." Leah wiped her tears, her expression hardening. "What do we do?" Dusty slid her the key card. "Tomorrow, they're holding a private exhibition race at the Speedway. That's where your uncle will be. That's where Carter will show. And that's where we end this." Leah frowned. "But They'll be expecting us. Dusty's lips curled into a dangerous smile. Exactly. The next night, the speedway was alive with energy. But this wasn't a public race. It was a closed event, invitation only, packed with the elite, the kind of people who could make or erase history with a single handshake. Dusty and Leah watched from the shadows near the pit lane, both disguised, Leah in a cap and hoodie, Dusty clean-shaven for the first time in years, the ghost of his former self beginning to reemerge. Leah whispered, trembling, "That's him, my uncle." Across the track, a tall man in a tailored suit laughed among executives, a glass of champagne in his hand. And beside him, Carter Blake, older now, but unmistakable. The scar on his cheek glistened under floodlights. Dusty's fists clenched. His eyes narrowed like a predator's. "It's time!" Gasps erupted. Murmurs spread like wildfire. "Is that? No, it can't be. He's alive, after all these years." Dusty walked straight up to Carter and Leah's uncle, slamming the rusted metal box onto their table. "You thought you buried me, but the truth doesn't stay dead." Leah's uncle's face twisted into a cold smile. "Donovan Miles, still chasing ghosts. Do you really think anyone here cares about your so-called evidence?" Dusty leaned in, his voice low but sharp as a blade. "I don't need them to care. I just need you to fall." Carter laughed, but there was unease in his eyes. "You're out of your depth, old friend. You don't have the power to fight us." Dusty smirked. "Power? No, but I've got something you don't." He pulled a tiny device from his pocket and held it up, a live broadcast. The crowd erupted in chaos. Executives shouted. Reporters scrambled. Security rushed. Leah's uncle's face turned pale. Carter's smirk collapsed into fury. Dusty turned to Leah, his voice a whisper in the storm. "The world finally knows." But then, from the rooftop above, the crack of a rifle, the glass exploded, spraying shards across the VIP table. Leah screamed as Dusty shoved her down, shielding her with his body. Another shot rang out, slamming into the pillar behind them. Panic spread like wildfire. The wealthy elite scattered, heels clattering, champagne spilling, security shouting. Dusty's eyes locked on the rooftop. Through the chaos, he spotted the glint of a scope. "Sniper," he roared. Carter Blake's smirk returned, his voice calm amid the madness. "I told you, Donovan, you don't walk away this time." Dusty yanked Leah toward the pit lane. Bullets chased them, ripping through banners and scattering debris. Security tried to block their path, until Dusty swung his wrench like a blade, knocking one man aside. He moved with the same precision he had on the track. Instinctive, impossible to predict. Leah clung to him, terrified. "Where are we going?" Dusty didn't look back. The only place they'll never expect, the track. Dusty leapt over the barrier, dragging Leah with him. Engines still rumbled in the distance, unattended cars idling, gleaming under neon. Dusty sprinted to the nearest vehicle, a black GT car, with its keys still in the ignition. "Get in," he barked. Leah's eyes widened. "You're insane." Dusty fired the engine, the roar shaking the ground. "I've been insane for 15 years. Hold on." Tires screeched as he tore down the track. Headlights blazing, bullets pinging off the metal walls behind them. The speedway became a war zone. Dusty's car sliced through the curves with impossible control, drifting tight corners at breakneck speed. Leah gripped the seatbelt, screaming as the world blurred. Behind them, SUVs stormed onto the track, headlights swarming like predators. One pulled up alongside, a gunman leaning out the window. Dusty swerved at the last second, clipping the SUV's bumper. It spun violently, crashing into the wall in a fiery explosion. Leah gasped. "You're driving like..." Dusty's eyes were wild, locked on the road, like the legend they tried to kill. High above, Leah's uncle watched from the VIP balcony. His face was calm, almost smug, as he spoke into his earpiece. "Terminate Miles, and bring the girl alive. She'll learn the truth the hard way." Leah's phone buzzed again. Against all reason, she answered mid-chase. Her uncle's voice slithered through the line. "You chose the wrong side, Leah. Donovan is a dead man walking. But you're family. All you have to do is leave him. Walk away, and I'll forgive your trespasses. Tears filled Leah's eyes. You murdered my parents. You destroyed his life. You think I'd ever forgive you? Her uncle's tone darkened. Then you'll die with him. Dusty cursed under his breath. Roadblock. Leah panicked. What now? Dusty's eyes narrowed, the old fire burning in them. We don't stop. He floored the accelerator. The car screamed down the straightaway, men ahead raising rifles. Dusty, no. Leah cried. At the last possible second, Dusty jerked the wheel. The car hit the guardrail, sparking, then launched upward off a safety ramp. For a split second, time froze. The car soared through the air, bullets whizzing past. Carter slammed the empty box onto the table. The evidence is gone. He played us. One of the faceless men leaned forward. His voice was gravelly, authoritative. Then finish him. Quietly. We've kept this buried for 15 years. If it surfaces now, all of us burn. Leah's uncle lit another cigar, unfazed. Patience. Donovan's spirit is cracked. But Leah, she's the key. With enough pressure, she'll lead us straight to whatever he's hiding. Carter smirked. And when she does... Her uncle exhaled smoke. We erased them both. At first, Dusty thought it was in his head. But then, clearer, from a ventilation grate above him, Donovan, keep breathing. You're not alone. Dusty froze, eyes darting upward. Who's there? He whispered. The voice was calm, urgent. An old friend. They don't know I'm here. When the time comes, I'll open the door. But you need to survive until then. Dusty's pulse quickened. Why help me? The voice paused. Because you once saved me on the track. Now it's my turn. Dusty leaned back, a broken smile creeping across his bruised face. For the first time in years, hope flickered. Her uncle dropped old photographs onto the table. Your parents weren't victims, Leah. They were players. They kept Donovan alive because he held the secret they were too afraid to carry. Leah's hands shook. You're lying. He slid a photo closer. Her parents standing beside Dusty in his prime, arms around him like family. Her uncle smirked. You think Donovan was just a driver? He was their shield, their insurance. And when they died, everything passed to you. Leah's throat went dry. What passed to me? He leaned close, his whisper venom. The real evidence. The kind that burns governments to the ground. The whisper returned. Donovan, they'll break her if you don't move soon. Dusty whispered back, rage boiling. I can't even move my arms. How? A small package slid from the vent, landing at his feet. A thin wire and a folded scrap of paper. On the paper, time your escape at midnight. Trust no one but me. Dusty gripped the wire, eyes blazing. He knew exactly what to do. Carter slammed his fist. You're obsessed with this girl. She's nothing. We should have killed them both already. Her uncle leaned back, smoke curling. That's why you'll never sit at this table, Carter. You think too small. The girl is leverage. She doesn't even realize what she carries. Carter's eyes narrowed. Then maybe I'll take matters into my own hands. The uncle smiled coldly. Try, and you'll join Donovan in the dirt. Guard patrolled lazily. Dusty moved like a shadow, silent, precise. One wrong step meant death. He snapped the guard's neck, dragged him into the dark, and stole his keycard. Leah's eyes widened. Dusty, he cut her loose, pulling her into his arms. We're not done yet. Stay close. But just as they reached the hallway, alarms blared. Carter's voice thundered through speakers. Did you really think you could outrun me, Donovan? The race ends here. The mysterious ally emerged, face masked, rifle blazing. Dusty and Leah sprinted behind them, cutting through the chaos. When they reached the service tunnel, the ally finally pulled off the mask. It was Marcus Kane, Dusty's former pit chief, thought dead years ago. Dusty froze. Marcus? They said you died in the crash. Marcus shook his head. No, I went underground. Same people who destroyed you tried to kill me. I've been waiting for this moment. Marcus pulled a tarp, revealing a gleaming black car, Dusty's original championship ride, hidden for 15 years. Dusty's breath caught. You kept her. Marcus smirked. I knew you'd need her again. Marcus explained. Your uncle and Carter control the media, the courts, everything. But if we get this car on the track during tomorrow's race, hooked to a live feed, they can't shut it down. The world will see the truth. Dusty's hands trembled on the hood. Then tomorrow we finish it. Carter snarled. They're alive. Her uncle didn't blink. Good. Let them think they have a chance. Tomorrow's race is their grave. Gasps. Screams. Then silence. Commentators shouted. It can't be. Donovan Miles is alive. The world exploded with disbelief. Engines thundered. The race began. But this wasn't just racing. Trucks blocked lanes. Gunmen fired from infield platforms. It was a gauntlet. Dusty weaved with impossible precision. Leah's live broadcast streaming every second. Carter's car slammed into Dusty's side. Sparks flying. Carter sneered. You don't belong here anymore, old man. Dusty growled. I never left. He spun Carter into the wall. Flames erupting. The crowd shrieked. Carter, bloody but alive, staggered from the wreck with a pistol. He aimed at Dusty. Die, legend. Bang. Dusty braced for impact, but Marcus dove in front, taking the bullet. Marcus gasped. Finish it. Don't waste this chance. He collapsed. Leah screamed into the cameras. That's him. He killed my parents. He framed Donovan. The uncle was dragged out in cuffs, his empire crumbling live on air. For the first time in 15 years, Donovan Dusty Miles raised his head high. He wasn't a homeless man anymore. He wasn't forgotten. He was a legend reborn. Kindly support our channel. Like and subscribe for more interesting and powerful stories.